I mean, in other words, a lesson is what somebody has learned from. I remember when I was a child, we could sit around the fire in the village, and our grandmother could narrate to us different stories, especially about the origin of something, about the hair, about dogs, about these animals, and sometimes plants, and so on and so forth. Those stories, at the end of those narratives, the stories, in the storytelling, of course, our grandmother could ask us, what have you learned? But what have you learned, it's asked at the end of the story. So even in reading a book, you read a book from the beginning to the end, you can be in a position to say what you have learned from that story, or from that book, or from that poem. You see? So meaning, in order to say what you have learned, you should understand. You should understand clearly the message communicated. You should know the characters in order to say what you have learned. Of course, it comes from the themes, but also from the characters, what they have gone through in the story. For example, after seeing in the story of Mabala the farmer, after seeing the life of Mabala, when you read that book and you go through the life of Mabala, what Mabala experienced, at the end, you can tell me what you have learned. And probably the lesson can be, laziness leads to conflicts. Yeah, you can say laziness leads to conflicts. So that is what we say, a lesson. But what is the message? The message, it could be laziness. The society should stop laziness, or the society is advised to stop being lazy and instead work hard so that we can bring development, or because the laziness can lead to conflict in the society or among the family members. So you see, I hope from there you have understood clearly the difference between a message and a lesson. A message and a lesson. In other words, we get the messages from themes. We get the messages from themes. So if you read a poem, make sure you understand the themes. From a theme of female genital, the practice of female genital mutilation, you can get what is the message, or what the author is trying to communicate through that theme. From the theme of corruption also, you can draw the message. And that's what we say the message can be implicit, can be explicit. Sometimes you have to understand. It's not, you can not easily tell just. It's not open. So it's you to check around and see what is the implication. So if there is child labor as a theme, then what do we get? What is the intention of the writer to communicate about child labor? So if the intention of the writer to communicate child labor is to make them stop practicing child labor, since child labor is against human right, that is the message of the writer, then that will be automatically the message, but it is drawn from the issue of child labor, which is a theme. And now that is the intention. So meaning the message is what the writer wants the society to take and consider it, and probably to stop the practice, or maybe is telling us what is good and what is bad, so that from there we get the lesson. We get the lesson. So mostly of the authors in these narrative or stories or plays, you find they use characters with the flaws, characters with the mistakes. These characters with the mistakes, we can easily learn from them, from their behaviors, from their personalities, from their traits. For example, Mabala had full of problems, you see? Or you can take an example of maybe Baroka in the Lion and the Jewel. Baloka against the city. So you see, from the themes which are portrayed using characters, from them we get the lesson. So you can only say forced marriage is not good because you have accessed, or the society should stop from forcing the ladies or girls to be married by people they don't love. meaning you should have gone through what Juliet has gone through. And the issue there is forced marriage. But becoming a message is that what should we do if forced marriage is in the book, if forced marriage is in the society? So the author would be telling us to stop practicing forced marriage, to stop practicing food taboo, to stop about the issue of paying high bride price. You see, all those are the messages in which the authors will be trying to tell us so that we can change and become good citizens. Good citizens. While the lesson also we can go through characters and see what they experience. For example, you can say forced marriage leads to conflicts and misunderstandings in the society. Why? Because you have concluded that because you have seen what Juliet went through. What Juliet went through in the story, then you can conclude, oh, I've learned that forced marriage, if not, forced marriage is not a good thing since it leads to conflicts in the society. So this is a difference, a clear difference between a message and the lesson. Of course, mostly these two, they come after you are aware. For example, what is required? What is the action needed when there is a problem? You have seen there is corruption. And you have discovered that the writer is trying to tell us on the effects of corruption. So what do you learn from corruption? Then you have to see what were the effects, what some characters in the book ended with the kind of which life. Maybe they ended into problems. If a character, by practicing this or bribing or practicing corruption, ended in with something which is not good, maybe died, maybe, or ended being imprisoned, then we can say this is not good. And then we can say corruption leads to, sometimes leads to imprisonment or life imprisonment, and so on and so forth. So this is the clear difference. So sometimes you can use proverbs. You can use the proverbs. Unit is power. Unit is power. You see? So you can learn that. But this one, it can be, for example, a lesson from the book, maybe from the book This Time Tomorrow by Ngugi wa Thiong'o. When you see the customers who were together in the meeting with the stranger, but at the end of the day, they ended up running away. They ran away because they were not united. They could not, they could not know the intention of stranger who was their leader, who is their leader. So you see, you can draw the conclusion that this unit is not a good thing. Or the society should be united if they want to fight against the evils done by the government or done by other people in the society. We should stand united. So you see, that is the message. But here in the lesson you can say unit is power. That is the message. So you can use proverbs, you can use sayings, you can use the sayings, you can use proverbs and sayings to state about the lesson. So if you say unity is power, that automatically is what you have learned. Because you have tried to trace to the life of some people in the book or in the story, and you end up saying, okay, because of this and this happened, because they were united, and at the end of the day they achieved 1, 2, 3. Okay, so here I've learned that when you are united, you can easily achieve your goals. You see? So that is the lesson. That's why I'm saying this is the lesson. But the message, what is the message? What is the message? The society should be united when fighting against the common evil, when they want to achieve the common goal or a certain goal. You see? That one will be a message. I think I tried my level best to make the differences between a message and a lesson. Maybe to summarize the topic, we have started with the meaning of a message and a lesson. Simply we said a message is what the author is trying to communicate, while a lesson is what we get from literary work. Then we said in messages we have to use words like should, must, it's not good, it's good to do this, and so on. Action words, action verbs. While in lessons we use words, maybe I've learned that, but we said also you can use proverbs, you can use the lesson is, and so on, because these are those are the teachings. And we tried to show an example of a good message that the society should stop practicing female genital mutilation since it leads to excessive blood. Conclusively, we can say a message belongs to the poet, or to the author, or to the writer, and a lesson it belongs to the reader, or the listener, or the audience. We are the one who get the message, the lesson, and the message belongs to the writer, or the author, the playwright, or the poet. Thank you so much for listening. I hope you have understood it very well, and of course you can write comments, and don't forget to subscribe. And remember, this is Henry Sanga, Zemshauri. Let us meet in the next episode. Thank you so much.